generation of riders we have, it just looks fabulous.
Oh, yes, and what a chase group now. Mathieu van der Poel, three-time winner of this race, riding his way potentially to becoming the greatest Tour of Flanders winner of all time if he can take his record-breaking fourth win today. But there's an awful lot of riding yet to go in the next 54 kilometres. It is Tadej Pogacar, the Tour de France champion,
still on the front,
who is winding this up still, isn't he?
He's been on the front since he went, and Pedersen is hanging off the back.
Rory Townsend here about to be caught from the early breakaway. He's got Quinten Hermans here, who was one of those who came across that breakaway. Great ride by the Irishman today. Townsend can be really proud of that, and he's about to be ridden past by some of the greatest riders of their generation, arguably some of the greatest riders of all time. Right, I'm going to
just over the top, and there's only a couple of kilometres between now and the Paterberg, and the Paterberg in many ways is sort of narrower, steeper, and in many ways an even harder climb.
Sheffield's been down today. I think there's blood on the knee of Matthew Sheffield.
He was down earlier.
Right.
I don't think particularly heavily.
There goes Moldy's pit going through. Michael Hutchinson leading what is effectively the front end of the peloton now. Joe Blackmore still there for Israel Premier Tech on the right-hand side.
Case Bolt went through.
Yep. William Germay, Marcus Hulgaard. There goes Alexander Kristoff, former winner of this race. Alexander Kristoff, only one of three riders in this field who've won this race previously.
And we've seen AOX on the front from time to time, but they've never really mounted a concerted campaign. It is a bit hard to see Alexander Kristoff as a serious contender in this, but Niels Pollitt was still in the group over the top. Quite a good effort considering how much work he'd been doing.
Right, we're now into the 3 kilometres between the top of the Oude Quaremont and the Paterberg. We mentioned Alexander Kristoff there, Hutch, by the way. I had him down as retiring at the end of the season and hoping he'd get to the 100th victories on 97. Now, I'm hearing this week he's going to retire. He said, I don't want to be quoted directly, but I think he said he wants to retire once he's got his 100th victory. So if he wins 3 times in the next few weeks, he's done.
Or if he never wins another race, he never gets to retire at all. 5 years later.
That's some kind of punishment, isn't it? I don't know. I might have to check my facts on that, but I seem to remember hearing
Dangerous
that.
Thing to say. Wins aren't that easy to get.
I know.
That was an exciting climb.
Absolutely. And look at the group.
Still on the front.
This is the group you came for, folks. This is the money group. Tadej Pogacar leading Matteo Jorgensen, Wout van Aert, Mathieu van der Poel and Mads Pedersen. All there.
No one's going to give him a turn.
No. Well, that's the first time he's switched off as well. What does Van der Poel do now? 2 killer bees in there. Now, Hutch, more importantly as well, how have the learnings of Grisha Neerman and Visma Leesebike moved on from Dwars Tour Vlaanderen? Is it now that Matteo Jorgensen is just working for Wout van Aert? How do we call that? Does Wout van Aert dare to give a little bit of instruction to Matteo Jorgensen in his ear?
I think looking at the way Wout van Aert jumped straight after Tadej Pogacar, I think he's the team leader.
Well, I don't know whether there's some teamwork going on here, but Mathieu van der Poel is speaking into the ear of Tadej Pogacar quite a bit there as well. Definitely having a word with him.
Telling him it's he's the only rider who doesn't have somebody up the road to break. If he wants to catch them, get after them.
I would love it if it. No, I'd love it if it was just raw trash talk. No, we're assuming they're being polite, but he might have been going, listen, mate, you may be in my jersey right now, but you are going down hard. I'd love it. Oh dear. Almost certainly isn't saying that, but he goes back to the front though, Mathieu van der Poel. He's had Quinten Hermans taking the pressure off him up the road, but they are very close to the 3 ahead of them now, and what remains of that leading group I can't even quite confirm just yet. Let's not forget, Tej Benoot is still up the road. There he is in this group that's being led by Marco Haller. So in terms of those that will get support, Dan Hula is there. He might be able to offer some support to Mads Pedersen.
Hermans isn't there.
No, Hermans has gone, hasn't he? Sorry, Tej Benoot and Dan Hula both have teammates coming up behind. The one who doesn't, of course, who now needs to make this count, is Stefan Kuhn. He's the rider in here of the big favourites who does not want that group to catch behind, for sure.
Yeah, but he's probably on a hiding to nothing with that. I can't believe they're not going to catch them. Although equally, the only rider behind who's really pulling is Pogacar.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome for the first time to the Paterberg. It's going to be the final climb in this race. This is the first of 2 ascents of it. You can see how brutally steep it is as well. It looks so different in these dry conditions, the Paterberg. It is 360 metres only in length. In fact, it was described, I think, by by Johan Museo earlier as being a short, sharp ramp, something like that. And it is 12, nearly 13% at its steepest. And Rory Townsend's still not been caught yet either. This is a brilliant ride by the Irishman there, just about to be caught by, well, the coming together of the front group, because the Mathieu van der Poel group is now being caught by the rest of the peloton. Michael Matthews leading the chase at the front of that group.
It's a bit of a surprise.
It is a bit, isn't it? Not that it's Matthews, but the fact that that group of massive favourites has now been caught. Well, watch Mathieu van der Poel, because as it's happening, it doesn't really matter. Van der Poel turning it up. Tadej Pogacar going with him. Are they causing separation? It looks like Jorgensen and Wout van Aert is on full pelt right now.
Wout van Aert having to work very hard to hang on to this. I don't think he's going to go with them.
Looking at this, they're going to really make this first ascent of the Paterberg count. Van der Poel goes over the top. That's the left-hand turn that the second time round will bring them to the road to the finish. It looks like at the moment that is Wout van Aert just latching onto the back of that group. They were caught at the start of the Paterberg and going over the top. It looks like they're trying to create another little separation in that group.
They just attack every time they get to one of these short, steep, cobbled climbs. They have to make it count. It's where you win this race.
So that's Paterberg done. Unbelievably, we've ripped through the second Aldo Quaramont. We're over the Paterberg. Now we have, about 7 or 8 kilometres before we start the Koppenberg. And as we know, the Koppenberg last year was a real problem. First of all for Ivan Garcia Cortina, but for others too. And the only rider who seemed to be able to rip up it was Mathieu van der Poel. He took with him Matteo Jorgensen on that occasion, but from there onwards, Mathieu van der Poel rode to his victory, his third victory in the Ronde van Vlaanderen. Today, though, things looking like they're going to be a lot closer.
Koppenberg is such a hard climb. They're kind of the riders are lucky they only have to do it once. I would love it if they had to do it twice. I have to admit,
Yes, absolutely.
As an onlooker,
absolutely.
But they've got a little bit of a chance to regroup. But the race is still very firmly on.
7 riders still at the front. Marco Haller, one of them, on a great ride today, the Austrian, for Tudor. He has Matteo Trentin with him, so he's doing more work to support Trentin, the former European champion. At the back there is Dan Hula. He has with him Davide Ballerini, former winner of Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, of course. Let's just look at the second group again, because this is what happened over the top of the Paterberg. Tadej Pogacar, Mathieu van der Poel and Mads Pedersen. Wow. If you're just turning on your TV now, you might think, oh, it's a bit predictable. Well, it's not been quite like that. Actually, between the big favourites today, really, until we got to the second ascent of the Aldo Quaramont, it's been quite calm. Mathieu van der Poel's crashed. He was actually under a bike and another rider at one point, got himself back up, got back in, so there has been a little dent to his reserves there. Whether that will mean anything, I don't know. But this is now the coming together of this group. Jasper Stuyven is joining, and look at this. 2 more Killer Bees as well. We've got... Who have we got in there?
Two Trek, 2 Visma.
Yes.
Lisa Bike.
Wout van Aert is one of them. You can see that from the Red Bull helmet. He has Matteo Jorgensen with him again. And then Jasper Stuyven and Mads Pedersen. So Jasper Stuyven, many people talking him up as being the sort of hidden secret team leader of Lidl Trek this week. He's been riding so well in the last few weeks. He's back to the front.
So saying the gap's down to 30 seconds.
Marco
So
Haller
has fallen quite a lot in the last kilometre.
It has. Marco Haller is doing everything he can now for Matteo Trentin. It's all in. If they do get caught here, I think Haller will be done for the day, because he's put an awful lot into this breakaway. Is he the only remaining rider from the original break of the day? I think he is, you know. He is. There's no one else. No, there's no one else in there that was in the original break. That's it. The rest of them have all come up to him. So we have to say, for today, Marco Haller, breakaway rider of the day. That's been a brilliant ride by the Austrian. But look at this. Look at this second group on the road. Now, Jasper Stuyven turning it on. We presume for Mads Pedersen behind, although Stuyven himself, you know, a big potential podium finisher today for sure.
Yeah, but you're going to be riding for Pedersen. That's, you know, it's always nice to have a plan B, but you have to sort of start off definitely with plan A.
Yeah, Mads Pedersen, who won Gent-Wevelgem a week ago today in a massive solo ride by himself. What was it, about 70k out front by himself, Mads Pedersen, I think. Which is
Dan Hull's still up the road as well.
Yes, he is. We're looking here at, well, what remains of that second group on the road. It is Joe Blackmore right on the back of it, hanging on to the tail end. And that's a little group who are just in between them. It looks to me like Case Boll, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's not. It's Michele Gazzoli. Michele Gazzoli right at the back. Sorry, from the air there. I'm trying to work it out.
Nielsen Paulus.
Yes, Nielsen Paulus. Now, that's the first time we've actually seen him in clear air today.
Yep. Interesting. We've certainly talked him up. Great result in the middle of the week. He's missed that the first time. He doesn't want to be here. He doesn't want to be chasing it at this stage. He wanted to go the first time. But he is out, as you say, in clear air trying to get across.
Nielsen Paulus, who took, as he said, the biggest win of his career. He's won the San Sebastian Classic, but he won the Dwars-door-Vlaanderen on Wednesday. He was the one that did the unthinkable by beating the 3 Visma Lease bike riders he was with, Wout van Aert, Thijs Benoot and Matteo Jorgensen, and it was Nielsen Paulus who outsprinted all 3 of them come the finish. So he has to be considered amongst the potentials to be the first ever American winner of this race. There's never been an American winner of this race, and look at the group we've got here now.
It's quite a big
group,
though.
They're on, aren't they? There is Nielsen Paulus getting onto this group.
Yep.
Ian Livens is the other one, another Belgian meeting the front end. Not many Belgians up there today, really, has to be said. Jasper Stuyven is there, along with Wout van Aert and Ian Livens now. Joining Thijs Benoot, of course, at the front. But for the biggest of all Belgian races, not been too many Belgians up the road today. That's going to come back together. It looks like that split in the, crikey, the peloton, the remnants of the peloton.
I think that's the peloton.
It is the peloton, but it's not big, Hutch, is it?
175 riders we started with. We don't have them all.
No. I would say that's 60.
Left.
I would say that might be 60, something like that.
I mean, if all the groups out front, come together, it's quite a big group. It's going to have 3 little Trek and 3 Visma Lease bike. Filippo Ganna's going to end up isolated, which is a surprise given how we had Swift up and we had Magnus Sheffield riding very strongly, but Filippo Ganna's going to be isolated in that group. So is Stefan Cohn of the contenders, the sort of the slightly B-list contenders we were talking about.
Yes, absolutely. Right, this group here we're looking at Mathieu van der Poel, Tadej Pogacar, Wout van Aert, Matteo Jorgensen, so 2 Visma Lease bike team riders. 2 Lidl Trek riders, that's Mads Pedersen and Jasper Stuyven. And then winner of the Dwars-door-Vlaanderen, Nielsen Paulus, the American for EF in the pink. And Ian Livens, along with Yevgeny Fedorov, the former Kazakh road race champion, the Kazakh rider for XDS Astana.
It's a surprise given the strength of Tadej Pogacar's team that he's isolated as well. I mean, he burned through a lot of teammates.
He was screaming out.
Yeah, and he's on his own, which isn't how he could avoid. Certainly didn't want to be on his own in a group that big with other contenders with help.
We are headed for the Koppenberg. If you look to the fields either side of it, you can see the mark of the Koppenberg Cross, the famous Koppenberg Cross that happens off the fields at the top of it. Basically, in the Koppenberg Cross race, they finish at the top of this climb, but they turn off it each lap to go back into the field to take on the twists and turns of the Koppenberg Cross. None of that nonsense today, not in road season, because this leading group is on to the most fearsome climb in this race, but this time round, Hutch, it is dry. They should all be able to make it up it. Yeah.
20% is such... It's easy to forget how tough 20% is.
And look at the sheer in the road there as well. Did you see that?
the sheer speed that they're going to do this, considering how steep it is and just how difficult it is. I'd be walking.
Yeah, big time.
We'd both be walking.
Yeah, not easy at all. It would be very hard even on a mountain bike, sort of mountain bike with a tiny gear. Even then the front wheel would be lifting up, and here comes Tadej Pogacar, who's lifting up himself. He's coming close to catching the break already. This is doing damage to the group. Nielsen Paulus not enjoying this. Arvin Livens neither, and Wout van Aert looking okay, would you say, in there?
We'd like to have just been able to latch straight on to that. He's having to work a bit harder than he wants to. Ditto Jorgensen.
This could be for Thijs Benoot and Stefan Kuhn the ideal point at the moment, because when they go over the top here, you might find them ahead and being caught by these guys. And the 2 favourites at the moment are dropping Mads Pedersen. This is being turned on by Tadej Pogacar. Mathieu van der Poel at the moment is wise to it. He's trying to hug the smoothest bit at the back, but at the moment they've shaken out Mads Pedersen.
for the minute. I mean, Tadej Pogačar looking the stronger of the two big favourites at the minute, you'd have to say. But they're all still going to be in a group at the top of the Paterberg. Oh, sorry, the Koppenberg. And then they've got a few kilometres respite before we get to the next climb.
They have made that look so much easier than last year. Dan Hula desperately calling for a drink and not getting one, I think, by the looks of it. Marco Haller, what a ride by him. The last remaining rider from the day's early breakaway. And they are gradually being caught. Wout van Aert's working hard. He's got Matteo Jorgensen with him there as well. They are in the company of Jasper Stuyven. And this is the peloton now on the Koppenberg, the fearsome Koppenberg with its ridiculously steep slopes.
Well, they're all going to get up without walking this year, which doesn't usually happen.
No.
I tell you, we've talked about kind of the leaders and the favourites sort of racing up here as if it was easy, and these guys, these are some of the best bike racers in the world. It doesn't look easy at all.
No, there is nothing easy about it at all. It's a brutal day out. There goes, I think that was Paul Magnier actually going through there. 20-year-old Frenchman for Soudal Quickstep. Looked like his form, so he's still in that group as well. A man who maybe in future years might go on to suit this kind of race, Paul Magnier. A few people mentioning his name before this start. There is Tadej Pogačar in the white world champion skin suit, leading Mathieu van der Poel. Yes, or happy to do the work, Hutch, as well.
Or happy to do the work, yeah, okay.
We'll see which way around it is. These are the guys who've anticipated today. These are the guys who've tried to get ahead. Tej Benoot probably for the greater good of his team leader, but is this going to be one of those days where we see payback for him working for Wout van Aert at Dwars door Vlaanderen and other races, of course, and Tej Benoot getting his opportunity? This is Davide Ballerini, who's still up there with them, the Italian, for XDS Astana, and now Ballerini actually stretching clear a little bit himself, and why not? Because Stefan Kung's not waiting for anyone, but Tej Benoot might well be trying to wait to figure out where Wout van Aert is.
I imagine that's exactly what Tej Benoot will be doing. At which point Stefan Kung and Davide Ballerini are going to have to make something of it for themselves.
Just to give everyone a little warning, just in case some of you are a bit precious about seeing spoilers, we are going to bring you picture-in-picture in a minute with the women's race. The women's race, don't forget, finishes after this. Don't panic. We're not going to show you the finish of the women's elite Ronde van Vlaanderen, but we are about to bring you live pictures of the women's race, which is running behind the men's race. I'll give you a little update. Please tune away if you don't want to hear this, but I can tell you that one of the two riders who could have been going for a three-time victory today is abandoned. Elisa Longo Borghini out of the race for the women's UAE Team Emirates team. So Elisa Longo Borghini out of that. There's the update. Elisa Longo Borghini no longer in it, sadly, so I hope she's okay. She's been in absolutely ripping form this week leading up to that race.
That's a real shame.
It is, isn't it? It is. Not good news to be bringing you. Not least in a very dry, warm edition of this race. It's a glorious day in the Flemish Ardennes, and these fantastic pictures of the world's best bike racers beaming into your devices, screens and homes all around the world. Nelson Powless has been detached there, Hutch, and that's quite a big gap back to him and Ian Livens ahead of this, the peloton. Look at the size of the peloton.
Teeny tiny peloton, yeah.
Yeah, brutal, this race, isn't it? Well, do you know, at this rate, with the group this size, if they start looking at each other, with some of those who've been away in the breakaway, the likes of Ballerini and Kung and others, if they start looking at each other, they could be caught.
The whole thing could come back together. And we've got another, I mean, they're kind of waiting at the minute to get onto the next cobble section. They've got a cobble section coming up very soon, the next half a kilometre or so, which is only 400 metres, but then that leads straight into another hill, which is the Steenbroekdries, which is...
It's a long one.
Quite a long one.
It's cobbled too.
It's only 10% max at the minute, so it's in the middle, so it's nothing like as vicious as the Koppenberg, but that's kind of why everything's just slowed down for a moment.
Here we go. Wout van Aert going over the top and going after Mads Pedersen. Mathieu van der Poel was about to take a gel from the feed zone, hasn't got time to take it. Has it in his mouth and holds it on the bars. That won't panic him. Hutch, I think I mentioned it during MSR. There's something that Mathieu van der Poel does when he's feeling confident, when he wants to show off. He does this little pout with his lips. Just there, at that point, Mads Pedersen looked round. Van der Poel took the gel out of his mouth and did the thing with his mouth. And I swear, I don't even know if he does it. He does it when he's feeling a bit cocky. And I think he was doing it in the direction of Mads Pedersen to look back, just as if it's a bit like the taking off of the jacket on the cobbles when he finally got back to the lead group in A3 Harelbeke. It's a sign of like defiance. I'm the boss. And I know where I am.
As soon as people like us notice that and point it out, somebody tells him, he goes, oh, when I'm feeling bad, I must make my funny little fish face.
It's not a fish face. Anyway, right. Hello. I tell you what, a lot of people were hoping this would be the day where Wout van Aert would bounce back after this kind of muted, below par spring. A lot of people talking him out of it. So far, I think he's looking pretty good. I have to agree with you, Hutch. He didn't look great on the Koppenberg.
He looks good, but he doesn't look as good as either Pogacar or Van der Poel.
Does he look better than Jorgensen? I'm not so sure.
I would have. Yeah, I don't know. I just go with you. I wouldn't like to have to call that.
Someone might have to call it. According to Christian Nierman, it is about the team car calling it and not the riders. We'll see today, because there's an awful lot of sorting out.
It's very, very hard. Sometimes it's very hard for the team cars to call these kind of races because it is so fast.
Yeah, so there are 3 Visma bike riders in here, one of them going back over the top. That looks like Tej Benoot having a go again, and why not? What a day out he's having. It's the tucked, long, lanky form of Tej Benoot who goes again, and it's Stefan Küng going with him, 2 of the original riders from the original breakaway, and Marco Haller. Likewise, if you're already wrung out, you might as well wring yourself out some more.
Marco Haller has ridden such a strong race. He's probably not going to get very much out of it at the end of the day, but he's been absolutely immense. And Pogacar goes again.
World champion on the move. He's gone over the top of Stefan Küng, and look at the face of Stefan Küng, who's desperately trying to stay with him. It's too much for Mathieu van der Poel, who's going to go again himself. At some point, people are expecting these 2 to go clear by themselves. It hasn't happened just yet. It's looked like it's going to happen, but it keeps coming back. It's almost as if they sort of test the water, look at each other, calm down a bit. Who's gone with them? Is that Wout van Aert? I think it is.
Is that Pedersen going after them? Is that Wout van Aert's going with them, or is that still Tej Benoot?
No, it's Wout van Aert. It is Wout van Aert. He's gone over the top. At the one point, Matteo Jorgensen was looking that little bit better, but Wout van Aert has got the strength and class to close up behind them. What a leading 3 this would be at the moment. After a brilliant day for Filippo Ganna and also Matteo Trentin, Davide Ballerini. These 3 looking a little bit rough, Ballerini in particular.
I mean, I think Filippo Ganna's always worrying more about next week at Paris-Roubaix. He did a great hit out today. He played it as well as he could play it, but when it comes down to it on this kind of course, he's not going to live with the absolute best on this event.
These are the final 40k, the final 25 miles in old money of the 109th edition of the Ronde van Vlaanderen, with me, Jess Cox, and Dr. Michael Hutchinson alongside me. It is kicking off properly in the sunshine of the Flemish Ardennes. Filippo Ganna has been so good in this race so far. He and Matteo Trentin with Davide Ballerini off the back of this group. There's one of the killer bees has gone to it. It's Tej Benoot who's rolled the dice himself, sort of setting up Wout van Aert going after it. Tej Benoot might yet come back in. I wouldn't put it past him to come back in, Hutch, and attack again.
It just depends what happens up in front. We've got a couple of... Here, chain came off. Looks like it, yeah. We've got a couple of times. We're not that far from the Tynenberg either, which is another real springboard in this event.
He's going to keep doing this again and again and again, Hutch. I can see this happening. He's trying to blunten the speed of Mathieu van der Poel and shake him out to see if he can do something. The problem is Van der Poel being, well, arguably the greatest cyclocross rider of all time. Multiple accelerations is his thing. It's what he does.
The thing is, I don't think Pogacar has put in the attack yet. This is the softening up process. He's just trying to cost people energy,